Today we're talking about why finding out you're an INFJ is not the answer. Don't get me wrong, once I found out I was an INFJ, things finally clicked. I finally understood myself. I understood what was wrong with me, why I wasn't happy, why things weren't working out. And I know a lot of INFJs feel the same way. The problem with all of this is that this revelation is so huge that we sort of feel like we have found out the way of life. We found our solution. We finally come to terms with, how life is going to be. And finding out you're an INFJ is not going to cut it. And we have to come to terms with this as soon as possible, because otherwise we will just put this label on us and it will have improved our life, but it will stay stagnant at that point. Before we go into it, remember, if you haven't done this so far, to download the free poster on the INFJ Epic Life Formula. And if you want to take it to the next level and find out how to get that life you always wanted as an INFJ, then get the INFJ Epic Life audio guide. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. When I first found out that I was an INFJ, which was probably around 10 years ago, it was really the answer that I was looking for. And the community at that time was way more toxic than it was now, because back then it really was all about, I'm this special snowflake. This is the reason why I'm suffering. Now I can put a name to it. And, it's just like this explanation why I'm meant to be suffering. Thankfully, this has changed over the years, and I'm a big advocate in pushing that agenda even more. Because if you're somebody who hasn't, known that they're an INFJ for a long time, or even if you have, it has just been like something that improved your life from here to here. But then it's like, as I said, it's like this explanation. It's this thing that you can tell yourself that will make you feel special in some way, but it's not something that will push your life forward. Because what changes once you understand that you're an INFJ is you give language to it. You understand what is going on. You also have a community. You don't feel misunderstood by everybody. So there are some people who know the same struggles that you've had. But what it doesn't do is tell you how to move forward, because that's not what MBTI is all about. That's not what, understanding that you are an INFJ is all about. So I'm not saying finding this out isn't like a huge step. It is monumental. And I really don't care about, people saying, well, this is just a soft science and this is not as good as, the big five or whatever it may be, or this is just made up stuff. In the end, who cares? Is it helping you or not? It has definitely helped me. It has definitely catapulted my life into a completely different sphere way before, I started this channel, before this became like, this movement. It changed how I was feeling about my life. And I wanted to share that. And I've seen how many people have had these wonderful transformations from finding out that they're an INFJ. It makes like all those puzzle pieces come together. But now it's on us to do something about it. And this is where I feel a lot of INFJ pages, channels, just, information about INFJ really stops. It's about, this is what's wrong with me. This is what's different for me. That's how it's difficult for me. That's why other people don't understand me. This is what's special about me. This is what is cool about me. This is why I might be superior in some areas than others. But is it really giving you a guideline to move forward? As I said, thankfully, a lot more is going in that direction, and that's what I'm all about. But as I said, 10 years ago, it was like nothing like this. So there's still a lot going on in that direction. Thankfully, we're moving on from that. So what are we doing once we understand we're an INFJ? We give ourselves time to accept it. All good. Like, it gives us this euphoric feeling for a while. But at some point, you really get to a place where you say, okay, now what? Am I happy? Am I living the life I want? Or am I just, being okay with feeling lonely, being okay with knowing I'm not going to live out so many of my dreams and fantasies? That's just how life is supposed to be, and so on. And no, it's not. It doesn't have to be this way. It's sort of difficult to step out of that, but it's just as difficult, if not even more difficult, to, accept a life that is not moving forward on your terms. Because I 100% believe, and I've seen it with my own eyes, that you can have the life that you want, the way you understand life, and that you feel that you're connecting with people through that. Because very often we as INFJs, we go through life and it sort of seems like I have this idea about how life should be, but nobody else understands it. Nobody else is feeling life the same way. And so I can either wait and hope that one day I will find this one person who will sort of connect with me on this, or I just have to come to terms that I'm always going to be alone in my own bubble. Even in the INFJ community, I'm still different because everybody is a little bit different, right? There's no person who's the same just because they're an INFJ. But the way to live that life that you always imagined, right? This theme of your life is to say, I'm going to start with me and I'm going to expand that. I'm going to expand the energy that I'm exuding. I'm going to expand the energy that I'm putting into my life. And with that, I'm going to connect with people. So when before it was, I'm hollowing myself out as an INFJ, and then I pretty much insert myself into the life of the people around me. So I'm this one version when I'm with my mother, I'm this other version when I'm with my friend, I'm this other version when I'm at work. But the core of me isn't really solid. It's something that is fluid. When you do this, you can never really start building up something that, continues to grow. It's pretty much the only energy that you hold on to is the one that keeps your head above water, and everything else you give to others. When you start by saying, no matter who I'm with, there's going to be a core of me that is not debatable. And I'm going to be that version around everybody. Like, I don't have to share with my coworkers my understanding of philosophy. I don't have to talk to my mother about the hobbies I have with my friends. But the way I am, like this core, I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to go out of my way to diminish some parts of me or to dim my light in order to make other people comfortable. That's the main thing. And then you start saying, okay, now I need to start creating the life that I always wanted. And it starts with really accepting what is. Like I've said it in the last video, but it's super important that you really accept what is right now. And the best way to do that is to ask yourself, what if it never got any better? So you imagine yourself never getting a better apartment, never getting a better relationship, never getting a better job, never getting, to live out your, biggest gift and sharing it with the world. Like all of those things that are currently not happening. So as if the life that is right now was the way it's going to stay forever. And when you do this, you confront yourself with so many negative emotions and fears. And the more you do that, you actually feel it, you heal it, and then you can start, improving that. Because we have this fantasy of that's how life should be. And then there's reality. And those things are, very, separate. But it's so hard for us to accept what is because, again, it's nothing to do with where we want to be. But if you do that, and I know it's a difficult process, but you can do difficult things. Like you're as an INFJ, you're mentally strong. You can confront yourself with uncomfortable feelings. When you start accepting that, you can start creating a better life from that. And then you have your vision or how you want life to be as a guideline. So how is that going to really make me feel different about my life? How is that going to be the solution? It's going to be the solution because then you're taking matters into your own hands. And on top of that, you start connecting with people through your life. So you say, I'm going through life and I'm going to improve my life. I'm going to make sure that I, make tomorrow better than it was today. And I'm going to do that based on what I think is good, not what society tells me. So if you, for example, want to be a shepherd, somewhere in Montana or a small place where nobody knows you or whatever it is. I don't even know if there are shepherds in Montana, but you get the message. Let's say this is what you wanted to be. You wanted to be a rancher or, whatever you wanted to live in Bali and doesn't matter, but something like this. But what you're currently doing is making $1 million on Wall Street. You're failing at life. And it's super important that we as INFJs come to terms with that. because we're so good at understanding what society wants, playing that role. And we have come to terms that every single time we play this role, it doesn't make us feel good. And so we're in this limbo state of, on the one hand, I know what is considered successful, and I would get the feedback from others that I am successful, like I'm successful on paper. But this probably, not always, but probably is the exact opposite what would be real success for me, right? And you're the only one who can define that. Maybe that's a life where you never really settle down, where you're always on the move. Maybe it's a life where you don't meet people every single day, right? Just because society tells you it's wrong, it might be the exact right thing for you. And so we have to learn how to trust ourselves. When you're in this scenario, being a shepherd, being a rancher, whatever that might be your success. And that external success might be the biggest failure of your life that you can imagine. And sometimes we need to experience that in order to find out that that's not the case. But most of the time, we as INFJs, we've gone that road somehow, right? It doesn't mean that we have to be millionaires to figure this out, but most of us have gone down that road of, I've done things that, society considers successful, and I didn't feel good. And so because we know that, we rather not do anything. Because why should I do something which doesn't make me feel good? I'd rather not do anything and not feel good. But there's a third solution. And that is to start building things up in a way that make you feel excited about life. Right? So it's all about understanding, how can I go out of my way of expressing myself in one way or another. It doesn't mean that you have to verbally do it. It can be through the life choices that you make. It can be through the things you talk about. It can be through the clothes you wear. It can be through the lifestyle you decide to live. And the more you make those choices, the more you start trusting yourself, the more you start understanding and hearing yourself, because we've conditioned ourselves for such a long time to forget what we actually want. So it's a difficult process to get back to a place where we know what we want, but it's definitely doable. And so if you found out that you're an INFJ and, you're in this place of, I found this and I sort of always keep on seeing things and reading things in the hope that they will change how I feel, they're not. The thing that's going to make you feel differently, the thing that's going to make you feel better is the action part. A lot of spiritual teachers, they go into all of this thing that changes you internally. But most other types are already always in the action mode. So if they change their mindset and they're taking action anyway, one way or another, then the mindset shifts will just, spill over in the actions that they're taking. So you don't really have to tell them, take action, Of course, it is in the end all about taking action, but the action part sort of happens. For INFJs, it's different. If we would go for the first thing we want, it would be all about contemplation, ingesting things into our system, mentally, coming to terms with certain things, going deeper into personal development. Those are natural things for us. But the things that, are keeping us back are those SE related things, those taking action things. But we have to do them. And trust me, it will get easier, right? That's why when it comes to, the 5 pillars that I'm teaching, we're going to launch the next bootcamp round. In the next month or, maybe in May, we'll see this probably April, May, somewhere around that, the next bootcamp will be. The things we do there are all based on the fact of we first have to gather as much energy as we possibly can because we have to take action, and taking action will require energy. It's all your life you've gone down this path on this cornfield and it's flat and it's easy to go. And now when you take another path, it's going to be hard in the beginning to create that path. You have to lay it flat, you have to push yourself, but once it's flat, it's going to be just as easy as it was before. And on top of that, it's leading you towards somewhere where with every single step, you have more energy, you feel excited about life, you're making progress in all the areas that you want, and you're finally feeling like life is not happening outside of you. You are in control. You are experiencing life right here, right now. You're not detached anymore. And that is what the final solution for the INFJ is. It's not about saying, oh, this system is the only thing that will work for you in any kind of way. It's about understanding that just because you found out you're an INFJ, this in itself will not get rid of your problems. The thing that's going to make you feel fulfilled is to feel the progress, to make the progress, and then not towards something that society is deciding or defining as success, but the success that is success to you. And finding that out, taking steps that are doable, being consistent, moving forward, that is a process that you can learn. So it becomes habitual, so it becomes part of your identity. And that's when it gets easy, that's when it gets exciting, and that's when INFJs thrive, right? So I wish this all for you. Remember, if you want some more help with this, then check out the free poster or get the audio guide. That goes way deeper, of course. And keep your eyes open for anything bootcamp related. If you're already on my newsletter list that you can sign up through the poster, then you're definitely going to get notified anyway. Everything you need to know you can find in links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video of the 5 reasons why normal motivation doesn't work for the INFJ.